your chapter starts with a case study of Haryana Assembly elections, right?
Yes, ma'am.
है ना? So we are having chapter number 3, electoral politics. Now, in the chapter, what we have studied, if I summarize the chapter, in the whole chapter, we have discussed about the elections. Why elections? Because India is a democratic country. Okay, India is a democratic country, and when you see that when we are having any country which follows democratic type of the government, which means people of that country have the supreme right to elect their leader. Is it true?
Yes,
Yes.
है ना? They have the supreme right to elect their leader. Okay, elect their leader, or you may say their representative. Okay, they may elect their leader, or you may say their representative. Simply the representative which is going to represent the which is going to represent the people of the country, or the representative or the leader which is going to make laws, which is going to make rules and regulations, or which is going to run the country. So all that government, all those people are going to be elected by the people with the help of what? That how they are going to elect, their leader, the choice, the way through which they are going to showcase their choice for that particular leader, for that particular representative, is through the voting system. है ना?
Yes, ma'am.
Is through the voting system. And now this voting system held in elections. That elections, what are elections? Elections is a democratic, you can say it is a democratic activity where people cast their vote, where people elect their leader or representative by casting their vote to that particular person, and the person which gains or which attains the highest votes in the election process, that particular person or that particular individual becomes the leader or the representative of that particular part or that particular area. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
है ना? लोग जो है, जनता जो है, वो अपनी चॉइस कैसे दिखाती है? अपनी चॉइस दिखाती है उस पर्टिकुलर इंसान को वोट डाल के, और ये वोट कब होते हैं? जब आपके इलेक्शंस होते हैं. नाउ इन इलेक्शंस की क्या खास बात है कि दैट वंस इलेक्शंस आर हेल्ड, दीज इलेक्शंस हैव टू बी कंडक्ट आफ्टर a fair time period, and it has to be fixed. So in India, for every 5 years we are going to have elections in order to choose our leader and representative. Now why we are having elections after a period of 5 years? Can anyone tell me? एक बार इलेक्शन हो जाते बात खत्म हो जाती, ये बार बार 5 साल में इलेक्शन कराने की क्या जरूरत है? हाँ, बार बार इलेक्शन कराने की क्या जरूरत है?
मैम लीडर्स चेंज होते हैं.
क्या जरूरत है उसकी? लीडर्स को चेंज करने की जरूरत ही क्या है भाई? हम ये कह रहे हैं कि हमने वोट डाला, लोगों ने वोट डाला अपना लीडर चुनने के लिए, और जो जिनको पसंद था उन्होंने उस लीडर को चुन लिया. अब वो लीडर जो है वो लोगों की पसंद का बना है, मतलब लोगों को उससे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, तो वही लीडर क्यों नहीं रहता? हर 5 साल में क्यों हम फिर इलेक्शन करवाते हैं? एक बार बन गया, एक बार गवर्नमेंट बन गई, तो हर 5 साल में इलेक्शन कराने की जरूरत ही क्या है?
मैम क्या पता वो वर्क सही से नहीं कर रहा हो तो?
क्या बेटा?
क्या पता वो वर्क सही से नहीं कर रहा हो?
वो काम
सही से नहीं कर रहा हो अपना.
वो काम सही से नहीं करता. यू सी दैट क्यों हम हर 5 साल में इलेक्शंस करवाते हैं? वो हम इसीलिए करवाते हैं ताकि जो इंसान पावर पे आ गया है उसको ये ना लगे कि मैं अब पावर में हूं तो मैं अपनी मनमानी कर सकता हूं क्योंकि मुझे कोई हटाने वाला नहीं है। तो हर 5 साल में जो लीडर है या जो लीडर नहीं है उन सबको ये एडवांटेज कह सकते हो आप, या एक सीख होती है कि अगर आप आपने अच्छा काम नहीं किया तो अगले 5 साल में जब इलेक्शन होंगे तो आपको फिर लोग वोट नहीं देंगे। और इसीलिए आपको व्हाट यू हैव टू डू कि जनता ने आपको वोट डाल के लीडर बनाया है, रिप्रेजेंटेटिव बनाया है, तो आपका अधिकार है, आपने उनकी वजह से आप पावर पे आए हो। तो इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप अपनी मनमानी करेंगे, आपको जनता की जो है वो सेवा करनी ही करनी है। इसीलिए हर 5 साल में हम इलेक्शन करवाते हैं ताकि अगर मान लीजिए एक बार इलेक्शन हो जाते और वो जीत जाता, कोई भी एक पर्टिकुलर इंसान जीत रहा है और अब उसको उसकी चेयर पे से कोई हटाने वाला नहीं है, तो आपको लग रहा है कि वो जनता की सेवा करेगा?
नो मैम।
है ना, वो जनता की सेवा नहीं करेगा। इसीलिए कि हर 5 साल में जब इलेक्शंस होते हैं तो उसको लगता है कि अगर मुझे आगे भी पॉलिटिक्स में रहना है, आगे भी पावर में रहना है, तो मुझे जनता के लिए बेहतर काम करने पड़ेंगे, क्योंकि अगर मैंने नहीं करे तो हर 5 साल में इलेक्शंस होंगे और लोग जो है वो फिर मुझे वोट नहीं डालेंगे। तो इसीलिए ये ऑथेंटिसिटी मेंटेन करने के लिए, क्योंकि डेमोक्रेसी का क्या मतलब है कि हम जो है, गवर्नमेंट का क्या मतलब होता है, टू द पीपल, फॉर द पीपल, बाय द पीपल। ठीक है, तो जब गवर्नमेंट जनता के लिए काम ही नहीं कर रही है, जनता के बेटरमेंट के बारे में सोच ही नहीं रही है, तो क्या वो डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री रहेगी?
नो मैम।
नहीं रहेगी। तो डेमोक्रेसी की सोल को मेंटेन करने के लिए इट इज मैंडेटरी टू कंडक्ट इलेक्शंस एट रेगुलर इंटरवल्स ऑफ टाइम। इज इट क्लियर?
यस
यस मैम।
है ना, तभी तो मैंने आपसे जब चैप्टर पढ़ाया था, देन आई टोल्ड यू दैट देयर आर रिवॉर्ड्स एंड पनिशमेंट्स फॉर द पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज। था कि नहीं था? रिवॉर्ड्स एंड पनिशमेंट्स फॉर द पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज, है ना?
यस मैम।
है ना। तो रिवॉर्ड्स में क्या था कि हर एक पॉलिटिकल पार्टी को रिवॉर्ड भी मिल सकता है, पनिशमेंट भी मिल सकती है। क्यों? कि अगर अच्छा काम करेगी, 5 साल में अगर इलेक्शन में जीत गई थी और अपने टेन्योर में अच्छा काम करेगी, जनता के लिए बेटर काम करेगी, तो अगले 5 साल के इलेक्शन में लोग जो है उसी पार्टी को वोट देंगे एंड अगेन दैट पार्टी विल रिपीट इन दी गवर्नमेंट। है ना, वही पार्टी जो है वो फिर गवर्नमेंट बनाएगी, तो वो उसके लिए क्या हो जाएगा? रिवॉर्ड हो जाएगा। If on the same time, if the government is not working according to the expectations of the people, then in the next elections what will happen? The people of that country are not going to cast their vote to that particular party, and they will cast their vote to some other party, and that previous party is not going to come in the power, and that will become the punishment for that particular party. Is it clear?
Yes मैम।
Okay now, so I just want to show you one thing, just a minute.
Since 1982, the state of Haryana was ruled by the Congress government. However, the people of the state were not happy with the government's policies and practices. As the time for the next state elections approached, an opposition leader, Chaudhary Devilal, promoted the Nyaya Yudh, or Struggle for Justice movement, and formed the Lokdal Party, and joined hands with other opposition parties against the ruling Congress government. In the election campaign, Devilal promoted the Nyaya Yudh. He promised to waive the outstanding loans of farmers and small businessmen if his party came to power and formed the government. This proved to be a major attraction for the unhappy people in the state, and Devilal's key to success. So, in the 1987 state elections, the people of Haryana voted the ruling Congress party out, and the Lokdal Party, with 60 out of 90 seats in the state assembly, emerged with a clear majority. The members of the newly elected state legislative assembly announced Devilal as the leader, and he was sworn in as the chief minister of the state by the governor of Haryana. As soon as Devilal took charge as the chief minister, he wasted no time in fulfilling his promise and waived the outstanding loans to all farmers and small businessmen. Devi Lal's party remained in power for 4 years until the next state elections held in 1991. This time, his party lost the election, and the Congress again came to power. We learned that people in more than 100 countries all over the world select their representative through elections. Some of these countries are democratic, while some are not. What's the need for an election in a democracy? Firstly, we need to appreciate that in a larger community, it is not possible for all people to sit together regularly and decide on various matters of concern. Therefore, people elect their representatives to manage these decisions. The process by which people choose their representatives at regular intervals is known as an election. The process of election in democratic countries differs from that of non-democratic countries. Let's take a closer look at the characteristics of a democratic election. Firstly, everyone has an equal right to vote. Secondly, different parties and candidates contest freely in the election, and the voters have a right president is elected. And finally, it's important that the elections are carried out in a free and fair manner. That is, every person has a right to choose his or her representative on his or her own will.
Take a screenshot.
How healthy is this competition? Well, let's analyze some of the advantages and disadvantages of an election as a form of political competition. Let's first focus on the disadvantages. The greatest impact of a political competition is the sense of disunity that arises among different political groups across different localities. People begin pointing fingers at each other for the simplest of issues and aim at winning the election by hook or by crook. These unhealthy practices deter the system to plan for long-term growth of the state or nation. Another major disadvantage of political competition is that good and deserving people hesitate to participate in this unhealthy competition. And as a result, the people lose out on an able representative. However, a healthy political... Let's see how. Now, we all accept the fact that the politicians of today may have a sense of duty to serve the people they are representing. However, they also have an aspiration to grow their own political careers, an understanding of the real issues of the people or how they could solve them. So, what's the way out? Well, one way is that we can consider educating them about their roles and responsibilities. Another more practical approach to the situation could be to define an appraisal and award system for politicians based on their performance in their political careers, where people appraise their political for in the next elections, while politicians who fail to satisfy the people they are representing have lower chances of winning the next elections. Therefore, we can see that just the selfish desire of growing one's political career can be a good motivator for politicians and political parties. Every 5 years, the Lok Sabha and the Vidhan Sabha are dissolved, and the people elect new representatives. This is known as the general election and is kept. Sometimes, the Lok Sabha and the Vidhan Sabha are dissolved. Such an election is called, at times, apart from the general election, an election may need to be held for a single constituency due to the untimely death. Going back to the case study on the 1987 elections in Haryana, do you recall that a total of 9? The first step in the election process is to divide the entire country up. For example, for the Lok Sabha elections, We learned that in a democratic election, people can freely contest in elections. The election system in India also. The process of nominating the candidates for an election begins with political parties nominating.
Is it clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
वीडियो समझ में आया सबको?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So the video was explaining you about the Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha elections that we have explained in detail when we were discussing the chapter. So in the chapter, you need to remember about the constituencies. What is the definition of a constituency? Why the country is divided into different constituencies in Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha elections. Okay. After that, you need to remember about how the candidates are going to participate in the election process. Who are the people who can cast their vote? We have tell you earlier also that in Indian democratic system follows the universal adult franchise. Okay, the same question has also been asked in your half-yearly examinations, that what do you understand by universal adult franchisee? Okay, so universal adult franchisee simply means that once you are 18 years or above, you have the right to cast your vote. The Constitution of India gives you the right to vote once you are 18 years or above, or whether you belong to whether you are a male or a female, whether you belong to economically very high status family or very poor family, you are old or you are young. That means you should have 18 years of age, right? Or whether you are rich or poor, whether you belong to a upper class family or to a lower class family, each one of you have the voting right, but the condition is you have to be 18 years or above, and each vote has its equal value irrespective of your social and economic status.